find the content is there. Back in 2006, I founded my first company. It was an online store where I sold to the Nordics. And I had it next to high school and ran that. After 3.5 years of sending a lot of packages and wrapping jewelry and things like that, I decided to sell it. And then I went to Australia for some of the money. I also saved some of the money to start some other companies. That was what I was hoping for, at least. And then in 2010, I moved from Aalborg up north to Copenhagen to start studying as well, like you guys, I assume. And then while I was studying, I was also coming up with a lot of good ideas, and there was some pitching competitions and stuff like that. So I was working on a lot of ideas, some good and some really bad. And I also started a company while studying that failed miserably, but that's how it is. And then in 2014, while doing my master's, I was asked if I would join Every. Every is Norway's largest IT company with 10,000 employees, and I was supposed to help build their innovation lab. And I said yes, which is maybe not a good idea if you're doing your master's, but I managed to finish it, but it took a little longer. Then in 2015, I was asked if I wanted to join this startup that wasn't started yet. There was a technical guy, there was some investors, and then they would like me to join and to make a company. So I was a part of co-founding what later became Hofsi, which is a fintech company that does banking for small businesses and startups and freelancers. I decided to leave that in 2017 to do something else. And first I was a consultant, I was helping some startups, and then I was helping big companies as well to innovate, like startups do. That's something that the big companies really want. They want that startup mindset. So I was a consultant, and then I met my current co-founder, Camilla. And first as an advisor, and then I decided to join as a co-founder. I just want to briefly talk to you about what we do today, but actually I mostly will talk about my learnings of all these 13 years of starting different companies and being an entrepreneur. So hopefully you can reflect on that and see whether the startup life is for you or not. So Spenderlag is an app that automatically fetches all of your receipts. If you go shopping and have a Co-op membership or a Starbucks or receipts in mobile pay, you'll get them in automatically. We made an artificial intelligence that can read each line and show you exactly what you spent your money on. But back to the 5 reasons not to join a startup. If we take, okay? So I'll just talk and you'll just imagine that there's a slide here. The first reason is that you want your parents to understand what you're doing. Because I can tell you, they are, this is like the startup world, yeah, there we go. Thanks. So if you want your parents to understand what you're doing, you should not join a startup. Because I can tell you, I've been that person at family dinners, and people have just stopped asking me what it is I'm doing because they don't know. They're just okay, and then they start talking about something else. And I think my mom is finally starting to get it now. She's watching, Løvens Hule, that's like the Danish Shark Tank, and she keeps calling me and saying, "Oh, I have this great idea. I want to make, something like Airbnb." And I'm like, "Have you checked out Airbnb?" So I think that's super cute, and I think, yeah, it's getting there, but it's taking 13 years, so just be aware. My grandma is still not, she doesn't understand at all what it is I'm doing, but okay, she doesn't have a smartphone, so who can blame her? The second reason is that you want your friends to understand what you're going through. They will not understand what you're going through, I can tell you, unless they have a startup as well. If you come home and you're really upset, because you had like 10 investors today and they said no and they didn't get your business model or they didn't get why people would ever use your stupid app, then they will think that you're going bankrupt and they'll start be like, hey, but do you think you can pay rent next month? And if it's going well, and you just landed that investor, that first angel investor who believes in you, they're like, oh, so you're a millionaire now. And I'm like, no. You won't see me like for the next 2 months because I'll be working. So that's the second reason. Then if you talking about working, you should not join a startup if you want a 9-to-5 job. Because it's not that I don't prioritize sleep and exercise and seeing my friends. I think that's super important and I think it's very, very old-fashioned not to prioritize that. But to work from 9 to 5 is not something that you can do in the startup world. Because sometimes you will get that important email very late at night or a very, very important presentation that you have to prepare during the weekends. And that's how it is. But when your work is your hobby as well, it's also really, really cool. And then I also have the flexibility to go for a run before lunch if I want to. So super flexible as well. The fourth reason that you should definitely not join a startup is if you like predictability. But if we look a little bit into it, the predictability, I can tell you that from also been working as at a big startup before myself. Let's see if it's this one. I don't know. And is it this thing? It's back on. Perfect. Yeah, so from working in a big company, it's like they set long-term strategies and normally they follow them and you can sit down with that one task and you can do that normally and that's fine. But it's not always like that because when you think corporate, you might think business as usual. But actually more than half of the biggest companies on the stock market, they have disappeared in the last 15 years. And the average lifespan for one of those companies has actually gone from 60 years in 1958 to 17 years here in 2015. So maybe it's not business as usual anymore. And I think that's also important to think about. That you might not be so secure in your big corporate job. And when you think about it, like, do you want to be a part of the ones who are getting disrupted or the ones who are doing the disrupting? So that's one of the reasons that I'm definitely that I'm definitely working in a startup at the moment. And things are not gonna go the way that you plan. It's it's a hassle. And you see all these success stories in the media, and I've been tricked as well. And they say that success is this thing where you start working, and then at one point you're just here, and then it's just all great, and often it only takes 1 year or maybe 2 if you're really unlucky. But that's not how it is, at least not from what I can see and from myself. It's something like this, it's just this big mess where sometimes you think everything is going super well, and then suddenly you're all the way back to, below where you started. Yeah, I drew this myself. So, and it's just about hard work. But these ups and downs, they're also way more fun when you're in a small team, in a small company, than if you're like a small drop in a big ocean, in a big company. So that was my fourth reason not to join a startup. Looking into the fifth one, you are scared of failing. And I know everyone is like, especially with the American Silicon Valley culture, it's like, yeah, it's good to fail and embrace failure. But I will admit that I'm super scared of failing. Like, who's not scared of failing? I would really like, yeah, that's, I praise you because we are all raised to be conform, right? To look the same, to dress the same. We see the same posters that you should have this car, you should have this clothes, or you should wear that perfume, and that's what success looks like when you look at the society. And I think that's also one of the reasons that we are so scared of failing and we are scared of standing out. And it takes a lot of courage to actually, you know, be that crazy person who is not being understood at family dinners and who is not going that normal career way from working, climbing the ladder in a corporate. Because if people often ask me whether it's about money, and I'm like, no, if I wanted to earn a lot of money, I should definitely have joined a corporate. That is like, that's for sure. And of course there is the potential of making a successful company and selling it for a lot of money, but that's, you know, the chances are pretty small actually. But back to that, it takes courage, and I think now I'm getting all philosophical here. I hope that you can handle it, even though it's a bit late and you probably had a very long day. But I really think it does take courage, and if we look at the word courage, it's actually derived from French, where you have cœur. Oh, this is small, but it's cœur, which means heart, and then you have âge, which means age or time. And I really think it is about listening to your heart or your, like, that little passion inside of you, and that will take time to figure out what that is, and you have to try a lot of things and you have to experiment with it. And I definitely, like, in my experience from working at Norway's largest IT company, where I got a lot of freedom, and to working at a small company, you get way more opportunity and way more space to experiment and to find that, to listen to your heart and to try a lot of things in a small company. And you have to ask yourself, what is your passion? What are you really passionate about? And if you look back in time, what is it that maybe when you were a kid, what is it that you were really good at or that you really enjoyed? Or what is it that when you take a step back from the rat race of getting all A's or 12s here in Denmark and doing well in your study and definitely not failing, because then you get a bad grade and maybe you can't get your dream job and then you can't get a good salary and then your parents won't be proud of you, then what is your passion? What is it that you, when you go for that hike in nature and you haven't been online for maybe 24 hours, if that ever happens, what is it that, you know, what ideas comes to your mind? What is it that you fall back on? Like, because I think this passion, or like what sparks joy for you, that might be there somewhere, but the less we listen to it, the more it will disappear. And that's why I think it's super important to kind of try to listen. And it is this small whisper in a way. Like, I've had periods where I haven't listened to it at all, and it is this whisper. So I really believe that you have to listen to that whisper. And we have like loudspeakers banging ahead with all the things you should do, what your parents want you to do, what society wants you to do, what everyone wants you to do. But you have to listen to yourself, and we're actually in this really awesome position right now that we are here in Denmark. You probably get SU. You're super lucky. I don't anymore. Why not like use that support to go out and find that joy and that passion? And for me, I think like the answer might not be to start in a company or in a startup, join a startup or start your own. But I think if we took everyone in this room and we put them in a big corporate, or we took them and put them in a startup, whether they started it themselves or joined one, I'm sure that in the startup we would have more people being able to follow their passion. And I think that's when you can start, you know, really, you feel that work is fun, you feel that it's enjoying, you really want to spend time on it. And that's where you really move something and you really change something. You don't just sit in a big corporation making PowerPoints and Excel sheets. So I think, like, instead of talking about our own journey, I have time so you can ask some questions. I wanted to kind of give you this because that's what I've been thinking a lot about, and now I've been asked for this presentation as well to look back and like, why am I even doing startups? And this is kind of what I like came to. This is why I'm doing startups. And I think if you can do, you know, spend the most hours that you're awake actually doing something that you really enjoy and where you really follow your passion. Even though, you know, sometimes it's crap, you have to do a lot of shitty stuff as well, but then I think you're really, really well off. Yeah, so I think that's it for me, and I would really love to hear your questions if you have anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, if that talk doesn't force you to join a startup, nothing will. So thank you.
Okay.
Not a responsibility. Yeah. If you have any questions for Maria, maybe.
Yeah.
Have time for a little questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of time.
Okay.
Like, until 12 or something, so you
Okay.
can go ahead.
So reach out to Maria if you have any type of questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So this keynote marks the end of our official program here at this Meet and Match event. Soon you can grab a sandwich and a beer over there. And if you didn't get the chance to pitch at the Pitch Corner stage, Susanne are ready to grab some new startups.